Hello, so everything is back to normal. Yes, my computer is fixed if you watched the previous devlog, and also my builds are compiling and I'm able to run the game. Fantastic news, and I'm the happiest person in the entire world. So you might ask, now what have I been working on? It's obviously on the tips of your lips. Also, just a special thanks to Git and Mr. GitHub. They have saved my skin so many times, and I can't stress enough how important source control is. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look at this video at the top here. I did a video about it. Very simple to set up and will save your life. Also, I'm not sponsored by them, but if you're working at GitHub and you see this video, please throw some money at me. We left off with me rigging a car, and it was successful, and the next thing I had to do was implement the sequence so that the car can move along the road. Riveting stuff, I know. What I thought was going to be a challenge was the fact that I needed to implement the sequencer, but also allow the character to still move around. We want him to drive in the car and then still be able to take in the beautiful scenery and shrubbery. Now, this was actually quite simple. What I ended up doing was I've got something in my eye. Jesus. So what I ended up doing was create a sequence. I added the blueprint of the player. I also added the model of the car. And then I positioned the player to sit in the car. I decided to put him on the back seat and kind of have this self-driving car thing just because I have no idea if I'm going to be able to animate the hands driving the steering wheel. And I just wasn't keen for the hassle. I can always improve on this later on, but for now I just wanted to get the sequence up and running. What I then did is I positioned the player in the car. I used the control rig. After a quick read up, I realized it was quite simple. I just had to add the control rig to the sequencer and basically position this person as someone that is sitting in a car. That was all good and well, but the issue came in with the collisions. I decided to keep the physics enabled just to still have that collisions if I needed it in the future. So what I ended up doing was shrinking the capsule collider so that it actually doesn't collide with the entire car. And then, of course, what happened was as soon as I started playing the sequence, the player was left behind, or it kind of bugged out with the collisions while the car was moving. So what I had to do was animate this player alongside the car. But I didn't want to animate them separately because it's work and I am lazy. There was this beautiful solution that the stranger on the internet bequeathed upon me, and I felt saved. What I ended up doing was creating an actor within the scene and then adding my car and my player blueprint to this actor and adding the actor to the sequencer and animating that along the road. So now I had to do the animation using keyframe. This was actually quite painful just because I now had to go and add keyframes to every single part of the road and space it out so that it looks realistic. What I can say, it's far better than using a spline to animate the car because I've got more control and I actually use the rig to tweak suspension if the player switches gears or if he speeds up or speeds down. I can animate the wheels along the way if I wanted to kind of take the camera outside of the car, which I'm planning to do at the very end of the scene. So all in all, I just had far more control over this animation and it made me extremely excited. I think my cat is starting to get annoyed with me. Bye-bye. Cheers, Salvador. So now I had to start fine-tuning this implementation. I wanted the brakes to be separate from the wheels just because when a car's wheels move, the brakes don't turn with it, it stays static. So I added that to its own group. I then also split the steering wheel out and created a bone specifically for it so that I can rotate the steering wheel as the car drives. Now this presented me with a couple of different issues that I still have to solve, such as when I rotate the steering wheel, for some other reason it shrinks even though I've tweaked all the correct settings in Blender as far as I know. If you know why this is happening only in Unreal Engine, please leave a comment. I will appreciate you until the end of time. Now with the sequence done and having a static steering wheel, which is not ideal, I moved over to the player blueprint. The reason I wanted to tweak the player blueprint is I wanted the player to be static. So currently the blueprint allows the player to move around, look around and everything like that. But I didn't want him to move. I still wanted him to be able to look around, yes. But when you're in a car, you're not able to walk around. So I updated my script. I added an additional variable. I think I called it can move. And I just disabled it within my scene. So this was quite a simple solution. And I can just reuse it in the future as well if I say want to enable a cutscene and have the user locked in place so that he can't actually interact with anything. What I did notice is the mannequin that I was using started to get annoying. I started thinking, Is it really necessary to have this character have a mesh to, for instance, open doors or cast shadows? But I know that that's going to be extremely tricky. So for now, I am just going to delete the character mesh going forward to make my life easier. I'm not an animator and it's going to take me so long to get realistic animations done, and also if it's not done correctly, it is going to break the realism of this game. Remember, I'm aiming for as realistic as possible, hence using Unreal Engine 5. With all that being said, I feel like I've made good progress. I'm in a space now where I can just build on this and improve. For instance, I want to improve the environment now. I can add cutscenes. I can start implementing the voiceovers, which is actually something that I'm going to be doing in the near future as well, which I'm very excited about. And I can just make the sequence run a lot smoother since I have more control. And now with all that being said, that marks the end of this devlog. It's been lovely having you, and as always, have a lovely day. Happy game development. Until next time.